We're going to talk about the GSMA report called 2021, the Mobile Economy North America. I think that we realize that everybody everywhere is walking around with one of these, right? But when you look at some of the stats, it really is kind of interesting. So by the end of 2020, for instance, 327 million people in North America subscribed to mobile services. That should not be shocking in any way, but it's 83% of the population. That's a lot. Another cool stat is that 1 trillion of mobile technologies and services generated 4.4% of the GDP in North America in 2020. This is a contribution. Like, okay, like big numbers. Wow, who cares? So what, right? Well, this this contribution is equivalent to 1 trillion of economic value that's been added. So when we talk about 5G and what's ahead, and the reality of it is we really are in the nascent stages of 5G and massive adoption by not only consumers but businesses. And so when we look at numbers like that and think about what's ahead, it's crazy exciting. So let's talk a little bit about what's on tap for growth ahead. Ron, I know you've spent some time immersed in the GSMA report. Lay it on us.
Oh, yeah. Now, there are some major key takeaways coming out of this report. And to add to the current impact, over 2.1 million jobs have been generated by the mobile
Right.
ecosystem. And this, again, is going to fuel what we can anticipate as significant investments in mobile infrastructure throughout North America. In fact, through the end of 2025, we can anticipate that there will be $300 billion in new investment, with 98% of that allocated to 5G. So 5G is only
Right.
going to account for 98% of that.
Only.
Yeah,
Only
right.
98%.
So if you're a player out there, you know where to follow the money, in other words. And so this is definitely going to have positive impacts in terms of the 5G capabilities we've been talking about for the last couple of years. Yes, the pandemic actually did create new opportunity in terms of things such as remote workforce, digital workforce applications. A lot of that was driven by fixed access, but also definitely had a play for moving 5G investments forward. And now that we're getting the post-pandemic era and we're getting fully adjusted to the new realities of the hybrid workforce, that is going to enable these new investments to, in essence, generate two-thirds of all mobile connections being 5G, again, by that end of
Right.
2025
Right.
threshold. And a lot of that is going to be focused on what is called 5G standalone. And why that is important is, in contrast to 5G non-standalone, which had to account for legacy technology, is that this will literally unleash 5G's capabilities across the board. So this is going to accelerate, I believe, IoT use cases. It will
Right.
definitely accelerate network slicing capabilities. So we're finally going to see these vertical industry use cases really blossom. And likewise, closely related to all this is ultra reliable, low latency communications. That is, the underpinning for all of these new 5G capabilities really taking off, particularly in the business to business segment. A lot of it's been focused on the consumer side here in North America, but
Right.
now we can definitely really see it take off, I believe, on the industry 4.0 slash B2B side. And to also underline why this is really coming into place is that here in the US, there was a mid band auction, that is the 3.7 to 3.98 gigahertz range, that yielded $81 billion in an investment by the operators. So this is
Right.
going to be important for digital advancements across the board for the operators.
Yeah.
For example, when it comes to their content strategies, as we know, AT&T recently struck a deal at $43 billion with Discovery to basically spin off their Warner Media assets and merge it with Discovery content and distribution assets. And this is now allowing them to form more alliances. And I think we can anticipate the operators are going to be more focused on forming alliances to advance their 5G content strategies versus
Right.
going out and buying them and looking to operate them. That can change, of course, over the next
Yeah.
4 years. But for the near term, I think that is going to be the solid use case going forward. So now we see AT&T partnered with the NBA and WNBA directly
Right.
for their content. We on an earlier episode addressed Verizon's alliance with the NFL,
Right.
again taking advantage of 5G capabilities. And T-Mobile is also working with Zyter, a digital health platform, which is, I think, very interesting to also complement their smart stadium 5G use case.
Right.
And this is also aligning with private networking becoming more important to address the enterprise opportunity. Why is private networking becoming more critical and gaining more adoption? Quite simply, it gives the customers more control, more
Right.
security over their capabilities. So we see AT&T building out a private millimeter wave network with the Ellison Institute, for example. We also address that, and that's going to be important for cancer research, particularly when it comes to 3D imaging applications.
Right.
Also, Verizon now has what's called on-site 5G, and that is their first private 5G solution offering. So now that is going to definitely fuel the advancement of private networking capabilities.
Yeah.
In addition, Rogers for Business, now they're offering managed services for private network solutions. And also, as we know, T-Mobile has already built out the first nationwide 5G standalone network. And again, that's going to be a critical for enabling those capabilities we already addressed in terms of fueling internet of things capabilities, as well as network slicing and so forth. So this is definitely demonstrating that there are valid reasons why we can anticipate 5G is going to have society-wide impact,
Right.
why the use cases are finally going to take real-world monetization capabilities on, and so forth. So this is all great news, I believe, and I think MWC LA with the GSMA report definitely underlines that.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that I'll do in the show notes for this show, as well as in our conversation here on both LinkedIn and I think we're streaming to Twitter as well, is I'll include a link to the GSMA report, which is terrific. And I'll also include a link. Sometimes I feel like I mention this so much that it's too much, but I don't care because the IBM Institute for Business Value did a terrific report on 5G and what's ahead and how literally 5G is going to transform much of what we know today within the next 4 or 5 years. And I refer to this report all the time from the IBM Institute of Business Value. I've done an interview with Chad Andrews from IBM Institute for Business Value. He is terrific as well. I think I'm using the word terrific today. That's my word, terrific. I'm going to try not to use it again. Anyway, great information in there along with the GSMA report. We'll hyperlink them in here so that you too, if you're a 5G geek like we are, you can dive in and see what's going on because it's really some exciting stuff for sure.
No doubt. No, that was a valuable conversation. And I think, yeah, it is, again, validating the fact that 5G isn't just going to be about networks. It's
No.
going to be about society-wide influence
Right,
and really
right.
transforming our lives and enabling, the like not just life-saving capabilities like on the
Yeah,
critical infrastructure side,
right,
but our daily lives, our ability
right.
to work from home in a
Yeah.
safe way, et cetera. So this is, I think, definitely worth looking at.
Yeah. Well, and I had a conversation on this topic a couple of days ago. And the reality of it is, it's kind of like how you have a network of arteries throughout your body that brings blood to and from and is responsible for keeping you alive. Well, when it comes to business today and life today, the strength of our networks is what allows us to be connected. And that's really the whole everything that we're talking about 5G is that 5G will be powering cities and critical infrastructure, all kinds of things like that, our personal communications, our media and entertainment, factories. I mean, just you name it. And 5G is going to is already in some instances and will continue to play a significant role. So it's really exciting stuff.